Greetings. This is a web quest designed for middle school students entitled Search Out Composers. This web quest would be useful for any music course, such as music appreciation, or a performance class like a string ensemble or orchestra, concert band, wind ensemble, vocal group, choir, choral groups, chorale, and so forth. Any music course in which the teacher wishes to introduce his or her students to the wonderful heritage of Western music, beginning with the 6th century all the way through the 21st. And the wonderful composers who contributed to this heritage. My name is Michael Chandler. This project was completed in partial fulfillment of requirements for EDUU 512 at Brandman University. Thank you for joining us on this web quest, and I hope you get a lot out of it. Now, as the curtain has unfolded, we begin our web quest at the University of Rochester and the Eastman School of Music. By way of introduction, we point out that you and your partner are students at the Rochester, New York, Eastman School of Music. The two of you are enrolled in a music history course and assigned to learn about a significant contributor to the history of Western music. Fortunately, science students at the University of Rochester have perfected a mode of time travel in which two persons can take a 3-day journey into any pastime and culture of their choosing. You land upon an idea then, the two of you, in which you will travel back in time for the purpose of acquiring a face-to-face interview with a composer and first-hand experience of the culture in which his music was created. Your task then in this web quest is for you and your partner to choose a composer and time period marked out in the history of Western music. You're going to travel however far back in time is necessary to meet and interact with the composer. You will interview him with pertinent questions related to his background and experiences in music, as well as some of the personal issues that may have had an influence upon his work as a musician. You will also learn of the culture and social forces that further shaped your composer's world. Gather as much information as you can during your interview, and then return to your own time and place, and finally present your findings to your music enthusiasts in class. So I want to ask you, which composer will you and your partner select? There is an hourglass wordle here showing all different kinds of composers from as early as the medieval period, about the 6th century AD, all the way through the 21st century. You'll have a list of over 1,000 from which to select whatever composer you wish. I encourage you to find a composer in music that you are unfamiliar with and learn all that you possibly can and share it with us. The process for this web quest involves 7 steps to complete. First of all is the partner selection step. Step 2 is that of composer choice. Step 3, gathering information. Step 4, time travel. Step 5, discovering the music of the composer. Step 6, arranging the material for your presentation. And Step 7, the actual presentation before class. The way I've arranged this web quest is for it to be completed within the space of about a quarter, roughly 8 weeks. This is designed for a performance-oriented group to conduct and complete an academic exercise on music history. The first step then is that of selecting a partner. You're going to team up with a member of the class with whom you will research, travel back in time, gather information, and present your findings. Step 2 is that of composer choice. You and your partner will select a period of Western music history and a composer of that time. ClassicalNet provides a list of some 1,100 such composers. You and your partner are to peruse the following source and make a selection accordingly. Now, it could be that the particular composer about which you two wish to learn is not found, so advise your teacher, who can make other recommendations for research. Submit your choice to the teacher so that different composers are selected and the entire class can benefit from a broad array of presentations. In weeks 2 and 3, you and your partner will complete some preliminary research. Step 3, then, is that of gathering information. Highlight and cut and paste your composer's name into the Google box or Yahoo or Bing, whatever search engine you're familiar with, and find some related information. You will probably find among your first hits a Wikipedia article. We want you to keep in mind as a general rule that research is only as good as the sources from which the information is gathered. Generally speaking, Wikipedia pictures and basic information about the birth and death and family and so forth of a composer are generally reliable, but list of references at the end of such an article may prove more useful. Other sources to consider certainly include encyclopedia.com, the aforementioned classical.net, Classics for Kids, also classical music, and kidsmusiccorner.co.uk. In weeks 4 and 5, you and your partner will have a nice trip, completing step 4 of your web quest, that of time travel. You're going to learn about your particular composer as though actually speaking to him, seeking his most candid answers to these following questions. Ask him, what was the date and place of your birth and death? What period of music are you associated with and why? What kind of family did you come from? Were they musical? Did you have formal or informal training as a musician? Are you married? Do you have children? How are you supporting your family financially? What other instruments or musical capacities do you play in or perform? What is the culture of your day? How do people dress? What sort of mode of currency is popular here? What kind of food do people generally eat? What are the lifestyles like? The differences between the poor and wealthy? What class of people does your composer fit into? Ask your composer, hey, what world events about your lifetime have influenced your music? Ask him about his religious beliefs and whether these have any influence upon his music. Ask him what kind of music he writes. Is he primarily a vocal and opera composer? Does he write mostly religious music, or solo piano music, or orchestra music, or brass ensemble, or what have you? What are some of his unique personality qualities? Perhaps you might want to talk to his wife and children about these. Finally, what do people generally think of his music? Ask him, I like your music because, and then suggest that he think about how people in your period of time, the 21st century, might regard his music. Along about week 6 of your web quest is completing step 5 of the music discovery stage. Find samples of your composer's music and learn if anyone has studied its musical features. A suggested website is George Schwartz's analyses of a number of classical music pieces. You can check these out at the wonderful Khan Academy music link. Also, select 1 or 2 recordings of your composer's music you found online, such as on YouTube. As a note, music groups often perform music on period instruments. These are instruments that would have been in use at the time of the composer. This is a very fascinating exercise, and we want you to look for some of these and compare their sound to those of modern instruments. In weeks 7 and 8, you're going to plan, prepare, and finally present your material. Completing step 6, Gather information and materials and arrange your findings in a presentable PowerPoint to share before your fellow time travelers who have been learning about other musicians. Step 7 is that of the presentation before class. Orally present, then, a 10, maybe 15-minute PowerPoint complete with pictures, pertinent information gathered from your research and time travel, as well as the musical examples we suggested earlier. Now we want to allow time in class to complete many of these steps, but necessarily you and your partner will have to arrange meeting times outside of class using Google Docs, emailing, Skype, or any other kind of outside setting to make completing the project possible. Now keep in mind that we have a rubric to follow, and this particular project is worth a total of 4 points. Introduction, task, process. We want you to pay close attention to grammar, format, spelling, and everyone should do extremely well if they apply themselves to this web quest. Pay close attention to the details and follow along accordingly. Now you and your fellow traveler then have learned about a significant contributor to the treasury of classical music. This web quest has given you an appreciation of musical development, and you've also been able to better appreciate how music is composed within a culture and historical context. You've begun to see the breadth of good resources on the internet as well, many of which can be further investigated as you continue learning. Now, to extend your grasp of what you have learned, I would encourage you to individually share your findings with your parents and at least one friend. I hope you've enjoyed this music web quest. Now, perhaps you're a fellow educator. We all know that we benefit by being generous with our work. And so I want to grant anyone permission to use and modify this music web quest for any educational or non-commercial purposes, as long as the original authorship is credited. Thank you again for joining us on this web quest, and I wish you all the best in your educational pursuits.